What up, fight fans? We're here for another episode of the Beefy Boys Breakdown, episode 96 to be specific. We're going over UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus Rodriguez. It was on ABC, so I think I just love the idea of these ABC cards. I always think about the little kid out there, much like myself, who didn't have cable or internet. And, you could watch these fights with an old school set of bunny ears. I know somewhere out there is some kid, the only cards he gets to watch are most likely the ABC cards. Or maybe, a couple times a year he may end up at a buddy's house or something. But I was that kid. And like I said, I just love the low barrier for entry. Of these ABC cards. A lot of with the recent announcement that ESPN Plus is increasing their subscription price yet again. I think that's 2 price hikes in 1 calendar year, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's $10 a month for that now. I mean, $75 a month for the pay-per-view. I know there's no way in hell when I was a kid I would have been. As a grown man, I can afford that, and I don't have any problem paying it. But as a kid, there's no way in hell that would have been an option, and I wouldn't have even had access to what's become my favorite sport. So I just love the idea of these ABC cards. It lowers the barrier to access. It's just more accessible to the public. I know it gets a bunch of new eyes on the sport and on these athletes, and I love everything about the concept of it. It wouldn't surprise me if, one day in the future, there's a lot more ABC cards and it's almost like football or basketball or sports like that. Let's get my partner Harrison on here. What is up? There's my beefy brother Harrison right there, rocking the Dreadful Talk merch. Very nice, good sir. Man, and yeah, so we're getting this episode started off. It's episode 96. We're going to start off, as always, with the prelims of the Ortega-Rodriguez card. And before we get too deep into it, just want to announce this giveaway is still going on. You can win this Nate Diaz officially licensed trading card. Or hell, if you don't like Nate Diaz, send me the fighter you like, and I'll get you a card of this. Subscribe, leave a comment. Subscribe to Beefy Boys Breakdown YouTube channel. I should be a little more specific. Leave a comment with your Twitter handle. That's mainly just so we can reach you to get you the card that you won. And, you can win this officially licensed Nate Diaz card. Like I said, let me know. I got football, baseball, basketball. Fucking let me know what you want. We'll get it to you. And, I just want to engage with the fans, get some subscribers, of course. And, just want you to engage with us and let us, leave some comments, give a subscription, and win a free card or win something else. Let us know what you want, man. We're not Steve. We'll do it out here, but we'll try to take care of you the best we can. And,
Mr. B, Steve, we'll be close. We'll be close.
Yeah. We're trying our best out here. But man, fucking great card. I was just talking about. I love the low barrier of access for these ABC cards, and I know somewhere out there there's a kid. No cable, no internet, and this may be one of the few cards a year that he gets to watch, and I just shout out to those kids out there because that was me. And, I just love the idea of, it's pretty expensive being a UFC fan. And a couple cards a year, you get one on ABC and just that it's available for all,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think another huge part of it, too, I agree that the low barrier to entry or to viewing is the biggest selling point of ABC because, rabbit ears are going to get the fights this last Saturday, right? Like, even if you just have rabbit antenna ears, you can watch the fights. So that's huge. But beyond that, too, I think you noticed John Anik with the gold ABC sports jackets. He was stoked. Did you see the pictures of his face whenever they showed him?
Oh, yeah, DC was nerding out about it, geeking out about it. No, it's cool, man. It's cool for the fighters. It's cool for the broadcast team. For so many years, this sport was considered niche or fringe or, it was like, and like all things, right, we kind of like that about it, right? It's like when you find out about a musical artist before everybody else does when they're first starting out. You're like, oh, and then, there's always that percentage of fans, just like with music artists, who are like, oh, it's going mainstream, it's selling out. But that artist that you liked since the beginning doesn't, get rewarded if they're not, being consumed like on a mass scale. And I don't know, I just think it's great for the sport. It's great for the athletes. As you mentioned, it's great for the broadcast team. it's great for everything around. You know, if you're
The
a
UFC
fan
brand itself too grows. I think the
oh
value
yeah.
of the business grows.
And if you're the guy that misses, going behind the beaded curtains and rented the UFC VHS tapes, more power to you. Those days are long gone. And this is the way of the future. Like I said, this is what leads to increased fighter pay. This is what leads to just a broader audience and more. This is what gets it legalized in places like New York and Paris. And it doesn't happen if it remains in the shadows.
Yeah, the more mainstream the sport can be, the better it can only be for the sport, right? I mean, that's promotional 101. Is
Yeah, I mean,
if you can be mainstream, why wouldn't you?
and I bet all these same people that want to act like they're so hardcore watch NFL football on Fox every Sunday. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of
Of course.
hypocritical. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I encountered it. I encountered it when we were watching live. Just because I brought up the whole, it's on ABC. This is a big deal. Kenneth didn't seem to get it, so I kind of had to put the magnanimity of it on him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like I said, I think you have to reach to even find a downside of it. I think it's great news all the way around. But yeah, man, like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a comment. We'll get you that Nate Diaz card sent out. And without further ado, let's dive into these prelims because they were fucking awesome. These prelims were lit. They were fun. I mean, there were multiple bonuses handed out on the prelims. There were huge implications for divisions. I think future stars of the sport. I mean, I don't know what more you can ask from prelims. There was finishes.
Man.
There was great performances. There were debuts. There were ranked fighters. I mean, these prelims were banging.
You know what I think is really, really crazy to me, at least? I got 3 new people on Hallerhead this weekend. All first-time triers, all literally looked at me and were like, this is amazing. So anyway, shout out Hallerhead, Haller House.
That's in my cup right now. Shout out
we already drank the whole bottle earlier, so this is Wilderness Trail now. Sorry, had to switch up because we drank the good stuff first.
Hey, man, happens.
No, but man, what I was going to say is, for as good as the prelims were, and they were very good overall, right? It's just crazy to think that one fight could actually, like the main card, I think is better than the prelims, and it only has to do with one fight, one round, which we'll get to, and I'm not going to even give it away. But round of the year, hands down, I don't think it's a question.
Oh, I think it's rounded like the Beefy Boys era, and maybe
I've watched it 4 times already.
It's amazing, and I can't wait to dive into it. But we won't get there if we never get to this Penney Ducote fight. We got Jessica Penney, number 14th ranked strawweight, coming in at plus 140, fighting Emily Ducote, making her debut at minus 165 in the women's strawweight division. Now, I got to say, to get a ranked opponent in your debut and then to be favored against that ranked opponent in your debut, I mean, it's high praises. And I think it's I don't even really think you can call it hype because it's not like she's coming in with a lot of name value. It's respect is what it is.
It's respect because she's the Invicta Bantamweight, or the Invicta Strawweight champion currently. So I guess they're giving her a lot of credit on that basis, which deservedly so. Now, I will say Jessica Penney, I think it's a story of 2 cases, right? Of one girl's into the road, 39 years old. I don't even know how she can make 115 anymore. It's crazy. And then, Ducote is 25, 26. So
young lioness for sure. And yeah, you had a little inside information on Ducote. You had a friend. You said you knew a guy that trains with her. And
which also I want to call out Carlos because this girl's way better than I ever gave her any credit for. Because Carlos, you never talk about her, bro. What the hell? Her skill set's nice. Like her striking was nice,
and the IQ was there. The decision making was on point.
Yeah, I mean, ruined a couple of my parlays for anyone at home. We went 0 for 12 on the parlays.
Dude, we took a pounding on the parlays at the book. At the book, you betcha. They got us this week. But, we still – there was still plenty that we called right. Like, it was really just a question of – yeah, granted, we missed a lot of picks, but we also made a lot of picks. And if those picks would have been on the same parlay –
yeah, it was just a pick placement. It was pick placement.
Exactly, the parlay ability.
That's hard to do.
It's part of it. But hey, Ducote is very impressive. Also, shout out. She's like my reverse story. She started out in San Jose.
Yeah,
in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
you know, which I gotta love. That struck a little chord to me. Repping kind of both of my hometowns. And you know, I was the opposite. I started off in Oklahoma, ended up in San Jose. Now I'm here in Reno. But like I said, you know, how many people have lived in both places? That's a pretty small list of people that you know, and I respect it. You know, so shout out to Dakota. Won me over as a fan, and that's saying something as somebody who lost money on her. And, you know, spoiler alert, but hey, it's the first fucking fight of the prelims, jerking the curtain. There's not too much to spoil. Really, besides Ducote looking fucking amazing. And I guess we can go round by round.
We can. I think what it comes down to is how do you score round two? Because I think first and third are pretty obvious.
Yeah, and they were obvious because of which sounds boring. Ducote managed to make calf kicks not boring. Like, the damage that she was doing with calf kicks, and she was, scoring knockdowns.
Penney's leg was done, man. Like, it was done in the second round.
Yeah, you could argue it was pretty close to done in the first round. And yeah, man, it was. The Ducote leg kicks were brutal, super effective. Also, it wasn't just the leg kicks; the counter punches for a girl making her debut. That's what I'm talking about. The fight,
they were crispy too.
The level of shit and like the timing and just the fight IQ and the game plan execution. It was more than just, this girl's young and athletic and a stud and tough. Like, no, there was some higher level shit going on than that. And but to get to your question of how I scored round two, scored it to Ducote, man. And I honestly,
me too. I scored all three, and me either. I thought damage as a key defining factor in round two. I couldn't give it to anyone but Ducote, just because. For as much as their hands might have been trading in the second round, she was still landing the leg kicks. And the leg kicks were very clearly hurting Penney. So I'm like, if she's doing the same with striking, but also leg kicking her to the point of visible pain, then she has to be winning this round.
And also, not to mention, Penney was getting her takedowns like they weren't even close. Like they weren't even like.
It was like lean-in entries on shots. Like she wouldn't even drop levels because she just knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, it was in the timing. They were terrible takedown. Like I said, the only way I could see you scoring round two for Penney is if you somehow viewed those terrible takedown attempts as a positive, which I did not. I viewed them as a negative, or if anything, points to Ducote for defending him so well. Not points, but you get what I'm saying. I don't understand giving Penney two. Honestly, lukewarm take here. I think if you give Penney any round, and I clearly didn't, but I thought Penney's best moment was when she was hitting the elbows and the break in the clinch in round one.
Round one's her best round for sure. Because I thought their striking was even on the feet, or even more so maybe Penney won as far as like hands, but the leg kicks were the difference, right? That's why I gave round one to Ducote and the takedown.
100%.
So I think
we saw it the same way.
Yeah, I think as far as damage goes, especially, I don't know how you can see it any other way.
No, for sure. And then in round three, Penney, credit to Penney for not.
I don't know how she was still standing. I have it in my notes. I don't know how she didn't get finished.
Hey, Penney, bigger stones than Herbert Burns. What?
Dude, we'll get there very soon, but I thought he literally quit.
Yeah, no, that was fucking horseshit. It was terrible. Now, one judge scored at 30-27. Two judges scored at 29-28, which he said, it's nothing to roll out a hill for, but I just don't get it. I thought Ducote won 30-27 all day, every day. Like, I didn't think it was that competitive of a fight. It was pretty one-sided. Looked absolutely fantastic. Now, the question is, conventional wisdom would have you believe that Ducote is ranked now, which is pretty gnarly,
I think you can't beat 14 and not at least get to be 15. You know what I mean?
I agree. Which and you can argue, not even argue. I think it's pretty consensus. Strawweight, the deepest most talent-rich women's division. So to have one fight in the promotion, be ranked, it's impressive.
I think you could further argue too that you have Amanda Lemos and Michelle Watterson fighting on this card, and that the loser is the perfect matchup for her to fight next to just continue to climb, but get someone that's right there at the exact same ranking spot because. Yeah, it's 10-11. The loser of that probably falls to 12, 13, somewhere in that range. Well, if she jumps to 14, the fight's kind of made for you already.
No, I agree, man. I agree, and we'll get to that one for sure. But, yeah, high on Ducote. Shoveling some coal in the train. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. She's as good-looking a goddamn strawweight prospect as I can remember. who are some of the other flyweight or strawweights that we've been excited about? Who, like Lupi Godinez,
Luana Pinheiro, maybe. I mean, you could say Amanda Ribas, Yan Xiaonan, Mackenzie Dern.
I think they've all graduated from prospects to like contenders. All those.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, yeah.
Like I'm talking about like is this our like strawweight Blanchfield? You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is though, and she's the OKC girl, so I gotta love that.
Gotta love it, man. Hey, I just want to make sure you're connected to your Wi-Fi. Like you are, because yeah, me too. I don't know. You're a little blurry on my screen. Hopefully, this doesn't come out looking or sounding like shit. But whatever. What can you do? Some things are out of our control. We're doing this podcast cross country, but hopefully not too much longer. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I guess we can keep it pushing to Dwight Grant, Dustin Stoltzfus if you want, man. We got Dwight Grant coming in at -105, Stoltzfus coming in at -115 in the middleweight division. Pretty much a coin flip. Neither one of us bet this fight, and it was because both of these guys were on L streaks. Both of these guys are kind of trying to like save their career. Honestly, their record's so bad in the promotion that I could see it being cut even with a win.
This was the fight I was least juiced for of all the fights in the entire card.
See, I was, but I also knew it had potential to be exciting, but in like a casual type of way. You know what I'm saying? In like a sloppy, and like a, you know what I mean?
It was that. I was going to say that's a good take because that's what I expected, but I don't love fights like that anymore, right? But I can understand from a casual perspective, this is kind of what you'd expect to see in a fight.
Yeah, because you got Grant straight up winging from the hip, and I know this is kind of a discredit to him and his skill set, but it looked like a guy you'd see in a backyard fight or a Kimbo Slice style promotion. You know what
and
I'm
he's going up 15 pounds in weight, so he's just trying to exploit speed and athleticism over the guy the entire time. And it's like Stoltzfus, meanwhile, is just a bigger guy and is trying to pick his shots, move him to the cage, be in a more controlling short-range position.
Slowest guy in the UFC, Stoltzfus? Like, seriously.
It's like a fucked up matchup, right? Because Dwight Grant's really fast. Like, that's his whole thing. He's an explosive athlete and not really much technique. And Stoltzfus is good technique, but just the slowest delivery of all time.
Like, I thought my Wi-Fi was lagging when Stoltzfus would try to throw those spinning kicks. Like, goddamn, they took four.
Especially when you see Salikov later. And you see Salikov literally firing reverse kicks from the hip like they're just side kicks. Like, holy shit, this guy's fast.
You took the words out of my mouth, brother. Yeah, no, this fight, like I said, I say we try to be pretty quick on it because otherwise it's going to just evolve into us kind of talking shit and clowning.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Because, honestly, I think there's only one way to score this fight. And I don't know.
I think all the rounds are pretty clear. And honestly, I think that, like, you could even make a case for – so 29-28 on all three scorecards. I think the only way you can make a case is 30-27 as well as 29-28. You could never say it was a 28-29, if that makes sense.
Because in rounds 2 and 3, Stoltzfus was able to get him on the ground.
Exactly.
And it wasn't even close once it got to the ground. Now, on the feet, it was competitive, but like I said, for all the wrong reasons.
The worst, sloppiest, just wingiest shots of all time. Stoltzfus kind of eating one or two, dodging seven.
Like, bro, you said, I'm no Freddie Roach over here, but worst footwork of all time? Like, seriously.
Oh, dude.
Like it was like this made Jake Paul's striking look like expert level. Like I'm saying, it was bad. It was really bad, bro. Like, it almost looked like you were watching like a celebrity fight. Like, I imagine the Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson fight is going to look something along the lines of you know what I'm saying, of Dwight Grant. And I'm like, seriously, like, that's what I think. But I might fucking buy that fight. Call me a fucking mark. I'm the biggest AD guy, and I want to see Le'Veon Bell get fucking punched in the mouth. And I may fucking be a mark and pay $15 or whatever it is to fucking watch that. Because
for $15, I'd buy it.
Yeah, I better not be more than that, those cocksuckers. But
you know they're gonna ask for 35. You know they're gonna ask for 35.
It'll depend how much howler I got in me if I'm down or not.
The howler will buy anything. Watch out.
Yeah, man, fucking making deals over here. But but yeah, so Stoltzfus gets the win, and like I said, it's hard to even put too much wind in Stoltzfus' sails because Stoltzfus, it's like, what does he look like against any middleweight? I mean, like, seriously, like, what does Rodriguez do to fucking Stoltzfus? Oh, and I'm not even naming ranked guys here. Like, I mean, there's so many guys. I mean, I think Kyle Dawkins tuned Stoltzfus up. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys like that, like not the top, which I think Rodriguez is dangerous. Rodriguez can beat a lot of guys, so maybe not the best example, but you get what I'm saying here. Like, I'm not even naming the top of the top here.
I would love to see Kevin Holland come up and just tune up Stoltzfus.
Oh, it would be the biggest tuning. It would be.
What about Puna? What about Puna Hele Soriano? Or is he 205?
No, Puna's a middleweight, and honestly, I think it's like a discredit to Puna. Like, and we'll get to that fight.
No, I agree that he shouldn't have to fight him, and that if he was to get a win on this card, that therefore I would think that that'd be like the delineation, right, between like one guy goes the other way and one goes this way. But I am just saying that, like, even Lungiambula, if we're gonna say that, you know, where does he go next?
I think
Stoltzfus is fine for me there too. Like, I think Stoltzfus loses to both those guys.
Like, I'm struggling to think of middleweights that Stoltzfus could beat that aren't named Dwight Grant, because I don't think there's many middleweights that Dwight Grant could beat either. I mean, clearly, as you know, we're saying, like I said, we'll keep it pushing, because like, it's really hard to, you know, just dunk on a guy for a win. And honestly, he didn't. Once he got on the ground, he looked very, very good. But on the feet, it was like he was in molasses.
Wasn't like he did that much to get it to the ground though either, because Dwight Grant would just get caught in bad spots, like in the middle of a transitional period, and get dropped.
No, man, yeah, it was. Listen, I wasn't that stoked on this fight. It looked about how I thought it was going to look. I'm glad I didn't bet it, because I may have bet Grant if I had a gun to my head. But like, yeah, you know, Stoltzfus gets the unanimous decision, 29-28. Good for him. Like, on a man-to-man level, I hope that does save his career. Don't know if I can say the same for Grant. Like, he's probably fighting an Eagle soon, or you know, Game Bred Fighting Championship or something.
Game Bred, let's go.
But yeah, man. I mean, hey, good luck to both guys. Nothing personal, but just as a guy who watches this sport every weekend, you know, there's levels. It was like watching preseason NFL, kind of, or summer league, or something like that. You know, just the level wasn't quite what we're used to seeing.
Summer league basketball. I mean, Mark Cuban, I watched an interview with him and the Nelk Boys today, and the first question they asked him was, how's summer league? And he looks at me and goes, I mean, it's summer league. And they were like, well, what do you mean? He was like, you know, it's just to get guys used to the flow of how it's kind of the NBA life is. He's like, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of warm-up games, exhibition-style games for the most part. So, yeah, to your point, it's like, man, if I'm saying you're a summer league fighter, what else we got for you, you know?
Yeah, man. And on that note, we'll keep it pushing, because we got plenty more to talk about on this next fight. Next fight, we see our first bonus handed out, another fight that we bet. And this is actually a fight that we hedged both ways, so we can shine our own wheels regardless of how this goes. We had I
had under 2.5 on my bet sheet, my master sheet. That was what I love most about this fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I rode that one with you. I know I had a hedge on each guy. Yeah, and I did ride the under with you on one parlay, I do believe. No, I did not. I didn't. I just had this one. I had each guy on a different parlay. You did like the under. You called the under. And so what we got here, beating around the bush, we got Dustin Jacoby plus 100, the 15th ranked light heavyweight, fighting Da Un Jung minus 120, stud Korean light heavyweight. And man, I got to be real, man. I like Jacoby a lot in this one, but there was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, gut feeling there, but also, like, when I pulled up these, you know, when I started doing a little bit of research, dude, I'll be real, like, we don't think of Jacoby the way that we maybe ought to based on his record. I mean, he's like,
he's pretty slick, man.
9-fight unbeaten streak. And I think it's like 8-0-1. I think there was like a split draw somewhere in there or something razor thin. And I mean, I don't know. Like I said, obviously he's not beating world beaters, but I don't know, man. Hardly anybody else with that kind of record, that kind of streak. I think we just talk about and view differently than we, viewed the Hanyak. And I'm saying we as like a general MMA community, including Vegas. I mean, including this money line. I mean, just overall. I mean, Da Un Jung, stud prospect, a lot of nice skills, but I'm saying, like, when you looked at him on paper, I don't know, man. Jacoby's resume, I don't think gets necessarily the respect it deserves.
I like Jacoby's record, man. When I look at it, I mean, losses to Chris Camozzi, David Branch, Mo Lawal, and John Salter. I
And
mean,
those are all years ago.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Salter being 2015, he took 4 years off until he came back to his one fight before the UFC. But what he did in between was glory kickboxing and became a very good kickboxer.
Yeah, man.
So
no, he's a stud.
Yeah, I really like him, honestly. He's fought in the UFC before when he fought Camozzi and Starks back in 11 and 12, so 10 years ago. Then fought in Bellator, then went to Glory, now back to UFC. I mean, it's a long path, but now in the UFC, man, he's, like you said, 8-0-1 with the draw to Jan Kudalaba, who I think he actually beats if they fight again.
Yeah, for sure, man. I gotta be real. Like, this is just a random high thought that came to my mind when I was watching this fight. Jacoby reminds me like if Sean Strickland was raised in a good home. Like, did you
see Sean Strickland buying a car, the Honda Accent? Oh my God!
He was like, I was going to buy this sick ass fucking Hellcat, 700 horsepower, but then I got knocked the fuck out and got half my check. So now I'm like, what was it, like a fucking Honda something?
He's like turns around, he's like, hey, what is this? A fucking Honda? It's a Honda Accent, whatever this shit is. I'm just like, Sean Strickland. God damn it, man! Can you just be a normal human?
Like if Sean Strickland had like both parents and was raised in the suburbs, I think you'd get Dustin Jacoby. Like I don't know
something close to it. Something close to it.
Seriously,
but not to belay the point, man. I think the reason I saw this going under simply had to do with Dong Jung throws pretty heavy. Dustin Jacoby is open for those shots. I mean, he's there for those shots, but that's kind of by his own determination, right? Like he wants to be there for those shots because, well, that's his whole plan is to counter your shots. So if he dodges your big 1-2, then he's going to start picking you apart from the outside, try to leg kick you to keep his distance, get his range established, and then land big shots throughout the entirety of the fight. That's essentially what happens here.
He's a big fucking guy too. He's a big
dude.
Heavyweight.
Yeah,
he's big.
But this was a snoozer to me until the 4-piece combo landed.
Ooh, okay. I think that's fair to say. I'll be real. It ends in such spectacular fashion that I kind of tricked my brain into kind of forgetting the snoozy part. But you know what? In hindsight, I think you're right. But ends in spectacular fashion. This fight only lasts 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Actually, I'm going to push back a little bit on the snoozer. Like, Donald Jug was throwing some heat, landing a few shots. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's no Schnell Sumadarji, but I'm saying, I don't know if we can pull out.
Nothing Schnell Sumadarji.
I don't know if you can pull out the old Aspen Loud, sponsored by Aspen Loud snooze button.
It was damn close to it, man. Just because when Donald Jung would throw big shots, they were just 1 and 2. Like, it was never combinations or him actually landing, like, effective shots to set up anything big. It was just him trying to throw crazy shit.
Yeah, fair, but there was activity. But I get where you're coming from. But, yeah, this fight lasted 3 minutes and 13 seconds. It was a big 1-1-2 from Jacoby and put Jung straight down. I had no problem with the stoppage. It was kind of flash KO-y, and Jung did seem to kind of hit the mat and bounce right back up to his feet. But you could argue that if the ref hadn't stopped it, then Jacoby would have, like, as soon as he tried to sit back up, he would have been met with something else from Jacoby right there. Kind of like Fazeev and RDA last week, I think is what it would have looked like. Which I didn't have a problem with that stoppage either, so I'm being consistent here. Twitter was up in arms about this stoppage, and I think it had to do with a new ref. It was a New York ref that we don't usually see, Kevin McDonald. I had no problem with it. Like I said, I thought it was a knockout. I thought Jung was out. Now, you could argue he kind of like woke up when he hit the mat, and there is precedent of refs letting fights like that continue. I think it was the best interest of the fighters, both of them, to go ahead and stop it. I do think it was a valid knockout. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. Did you?
No problem at all. I was just going to say that by comparison standards, I mean, Montalvo told Schnell and Sumodarji to damn near kill each other. as far as comparative standards. So.
And Mark Smith has been letting him go.
Oh,
lately,
my
but...
God. Jesus Christ. Mark Smith's been trying to end careers early.
Yeah, Mark Smith's been a savage lately. But yeah, man. So, I mean, Justin Jacoby, big knockout. Defends his spot in the rankings, gets $50,000 performance bonus. Man, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool of him to take the fight and not like turn down Jung because Jung wasn't ranked. I mean, I know he's only ranked 15. You can't be too grandstandy, but we've seen guys do that before. Like, oh, we want to climb the rankings. Like he took on all comers. He gets the first round knockout against, I think, a prospect people were pretty goddamn high on. I mean, just see the Vegas money line if you think I'm wrong about that. And I mean, but Jung is a big, gnarly guy, but he did look pretty raw in there. But, I mean, I'll say against a professional kickboxer, we just saw what Pereira did to Strickland. Like, there's levels to that striking game. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'd really like to see Ryan Spann and Dustin Jacoby because Spann's so big that I'd like to see that matchup.
Yeah, Jacoby, not the biggest light heavyweight. But
he's really good at using his length with his kicks.
Yeah, no, and his timing. I mean, there's a lot to like there with Jacoby. Yeah, no, you're right. I think Spann's 12, 13, somewhere.
12, yeah.
So it makes sense from the rankings perspective. I think that both guys, Spann, not a big grappler. He kind of likes to, bang it out on the feet, big power shots. Honestly,
right. See, I think
Spann's kind of like a better version of Jung if you think about it.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Is a bigger, better Jung, and we kind of saw Jung get pieced up, so might as well see the bigger, stronger version go out of it.
No, I like that. And like I said, I like Jacoby, man. Like I liked him before the fight. I like him even more now. I liked him during the fight, before, during, and after, man. Like I said, if it was a different weight class. But I'm saying light heavyweight, we talk about it all the time, one of the thinner divisions and a division that you can kind of climb fast, an aging division. We have the new champ, so it's not as stale as it was maybe 18 months ago, but still, it's not the deepest division. And I think there's plenty of guys in that top 15 that Jacoby can and maybe will be.
No, I'm totally with you, man. I think for Jacoby, he's one of those guys that I never really see him making a push inside the top 10, but he is going to be a great guy to have between 10 and 15.
See, I could see him even being between 7 and 10. You're right. The same statement you said, I'll substitute the word top 5 for. Like, I could definitely see him. I could see him being like a Neil Magny of the light heavyweight division and just hanging around the 8, 9,
All right, hold on. I'm going to start reading some names. You tell me when you think he gets a win. All right?
All right.
Blachowicz, Rakic, Ankalaev.
You know what? I think I'm out here, but I'm not nearly as high on Rakic as a lot of guys. I think Rakic stays on the feet with him. And I think Jacoby, there is scenarios that exist out there where Jacoby could beat Rakic. Long shot. Wouldn't bet it, but I'll keep, for the sake of the argument, I'll keep going down the list.
So, Ankalaev, we both know that one's not happening.
No.
Anthony Smith, Thiago
But
Santos.
Lionheart, he's getting older by the day. I mean, Jacoby's no spring chick himself. I mean, I'm reaching here. Keep going.
All right, Dominic Reyes, Paul Craig, Ozdemir, Jamal Hill. I think Ozdemir. That's where, but Ozdemir's 9. So
see, I could see him being like the new Ozdemir, and I know that's kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it's the most backhanded compliment I've ever heard in my life.
But Ozdemir's been hanging out in that top 10 for years.
It's true. Ozdemir was fucking Yuri Prochazka's first fight in the UFC. It's just crazy, man, because you see Paul Craig, Jamal Hill at 8 and 10, and it's well, I know he doesn't have that potential.
No. Hey, the Jamal Hill fight's fun though. Sign me up though from a watchability.
God, sign me up for the under.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Sign me up for the Hill under one half.
All right, bro. But
let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing to another under 1.5 fight that was just sad and was actually under a half.
We got Herbert Burns plus 170 fighting Bill Algio minus 200 fighting the featherweight division. I liked Herbert Burns, but I was light on it. I did bet it, but it was on literally a hedge parlay. So not hedge in the sense that I had one with Algio, but I don't know. I had a parlay where I just kind of picked some dogs, and I did think there was a path to victory here for Burns, which we did see. early in the fight. But yeah, how'd you feel coming into this one? And then we can get into the, kind of the, I guess if you want to call it controversy of what took place.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I was just looking up to see if there was an update on what the actual prognosis is for him at this point. But so yeah, Algio is the big favorite. I didn't mind the plus money on Herbert Burns. Now I will say one of my biggest problems with betting Herbert Burns in this, kind of the same reason that I was pulled back on Lemos, was when you struggle to make weight and then you have to start your card 6 hours earlier. That means you have 6 hours less of rehydration and replenishment to your body, right? So I found that as like a big problem for anyone that struggles to make weight on this card. I knew that was going to carry over because it just has to, right?
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I thought Herbert Burns gassed out in 3 minutes. Obviously not the case, but that's really what I thought in the moment.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if I'm not still there, man. I think maybe two things can be true at once. Like, I think to say he didn't gas out is regardless of what else was taking place. I mean, I think he definitely gassed out, bro. Like, I don't even think that, like, now maybe other stuff was happening, but
yeah, the quit on his face was crazy. Like, the level of quit was crazy. Now,
now
let me ask you.
In those first 3 minutes, let's hit on it real quick. Let's say something nice about him real quick. The triangle was deep. I was yelling at my TV.
Super deep. It was crazy. Like, Algio was fighting as hard as he was, using his arm and straightening it out as much as he was. I was like, you're going to get locked into that, bud.
It reminded me of Volk. Like, Algio getting out of that triangle was Volk-esque. Like,
just kept working. Just never quit working. Just literally kept going until he was either going to go out or he was going to get out.
There's so many guys that get finished by that triangle. Now,
and that might be where the knee injury occurs from just how rapid he was fighting.
That's what I'm hearing from the Twitter detectives out there, from all the Twitter medical experts out there chiming in. That's what they seem to think. But like I said, I think multiple things can be true. Maybe he hurt his knee, maybe he didn't, but 100% he gassed. Which to gas after 3 minutes of holding a triangle, like later on in the card, we see guys hold body triangles and shit for like multiple rounds. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not cutting Herbert Burns any slack here. Like, I'm about to be really hard on him. Like, I'm not trying to be political here or not hurt anybody's feelings. Like, Herbert Burns gassed after the triangle. Not even so. Maybe like half gassed and just half straight up quit, man. Like, once he saw that he didn't get that triangle, and he was that close, and he wanted out of there, man.
I pretty much agree, man. I think Herbert Burns couldn't get the triangle. Realized that Algio was going to be too much trouble on top. The pressure was too much. The relentlessness of just the overall style of Algio. It's not good for Herbert Burns, man. Like, that's a dude that either needs to get his finish or he wants to get out of the cage. He is not like Gilbert Burns in the least. And I talked about this with Kenneth too. Because if you think about Gilbert Burns and Herbert Burns, they should both be lightweights. Let's just be honest. Herbert struggles to make 145, like so hard that he'd be healthier at 55. Gilbert Burns is a small welterweight that used to fight at 55. They're brothers.
Yeah.
It makes sense they're relatively similar in size. So this is the brother that sucks down. And you see the brother that doesn't suck weight but actually just throws it on extra. Well, he's top 5 in a harder division.
Yeah, also, man, I mean, hell, you've known brothers like this. I've known brothers like this. Sometimes one brother's a dog and the other one ain't. Like that.
Yeah, and that is the case here too, is Gilbert's a dog. Herbert is not.
Dog mentality.
Dog mentality. Dog. Let's ride.
Chewing on kneecaps out there. But but yeah, man, they're made of different stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? It happens with puppies, right? The run of the litter. Like, it happens just in nature in general, man. And yeah, Herbert Burns, good at jiu-jitsu, could beat up a lot of random guys on the street. Not being as good as Gilbert Burns, like, that's an insane standard to be held to. But regardless, like, you're going to make the comparison and maybe, I mean, hell, that's my idea. If you have an idea of why Herbert Burns is such a quitting little bitch, then you leave it in the comment below. But seriously, man, like, I don't know. I saw quit in the eyes. Like I said, like, multiple things can be true at once. Like, maybe he hurt his knee and he gassed and he quit. Like, maybe all three are true. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think you say, oh, his knee was hurt, therefore he didn't quit. Or his knee was hurt, therefore he didn't gas. Like, best case scenario, it's all true. Worst case scenario, he was fucking Aljamain Sterling and an up the knee injury just to save face, and you know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. I smelled. It didn't pass the smell test for me, man.
It looks like he is going to have surgery on his knee as far as the UFC post-fight interviews, his posts on Instagram, all that stuff. Now, I think with that being said, he also said in his statement that it sounds like his knee was hurt before he came into the fight, and that he just wasn't going to follow the fight, which I kind of hate that, because if it's so bad that you're going to have a doctor stoppage, what's the point?
Yeah,
what's the point?
And hey, I don't know. Hey, you know who else is on the line right now? Josh Emmett. You know what I'm saying? What does Josh Emmett have to say about this? We're not to be a fucking dog.
Beat Shane Burgos with a torn ACL.
Like,
what does TJ Dillashaw have to say about it when he beat Corey Sandhagen with a torn ACL for 5 rounds?
Yeah, exactly, man. So, I mean, granted, those are extraordinary feats, and I'm not saying that should be the standard people are held to, but there's just a big difference in mentality right there. And yeah, man, last time I ever fucking placed a dime on Herbert Burns, I don't care if it's a fucking hedge parlay or not. Lesson learned there.
After his last fight, I couldn't put any money on Herbert Burns. He just looked like shit in his last fight before this.
And then, all right, let's take a second to shine Algio's wheels a little bit, man. First off, though, one last thing, like his line that he thought, like his promo that he cut was so god awful. I'm going to knock his head off higher than my grocery bill. That's literally what he said.
That doesn't make any sense. You fight at 145. Why would your bill be huge?
Well, and like knock your head off as high. Like, how does high? Like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah.
Trash promo that he cut. But regardless, I did like the Chase Hooper call out. I'm down to watch that fight. Now,
it's a fun fight stylistically too.
Because I don't think Hooper fumbles the triangle. You know what I'm saying?
He's not going to fumble that bag like that. If Algio's not going to be way more aggressive on top with ground and pound, he's not going to get in the same spots with Hooper.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then now also, this fight was originally supposed to be Algio versus Billy Q. Billy Q was tweeting out on Twitter that he wants the fight rebooked, rescheduled. That's another one I'm down for. That's
like maybe the most fun matchup stylistically for either of those guys because they're so similar.
Very similar guys, right? I was thinking the exact same thing, kind of mirror images of each other. Yeah, so, I mean, whether it's Hooper next, whether it's Billy Q next, good for Bill Algio, you know what I mean? I mean, he gets a performance of the night bonus for that, which I don't know.
Kind of crazy to me. Did he really outperform Herbert Burns, or Herbert Burns just quit like a bitch?
I think maybe it was like meant to be salt in the wound to Herbert Burns. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Good.
It was weird. But let's keep it pushing because this next fight, I actually tweeted out from our Beefy Boys Twitter account that I was really shocked this was on the prelims. Like, I held this fight in such high regard.
I cannot believe this wasn't the featured on the prelims compared to Puna and Lungiambula. Like, it made no sense that Shore Simone wasn't the featured fight if not going to be on the main card.
And you know we love our band and wait here on the Beefy Boys breakdown, but, like, seriously, this fight was huge. Like, huge.
But even still, it's an undefeated guy versus a guy with, like, 2 losses, one ranked 14, one ranked 13. And it's like the implications.
Savages.
Yeah, and the implications for this division, it's massive.
Like
so massive.
Whoever wins this is, like, right up there with Sugar Sean as far as.
They're literally ranked right behind him.
Yeah, but I'm starting to. I think the winner of this fight, like perception-wise. Now, I'm not saying they're going to like sell as much merch as Sugar Sean, but what I'm saying is like, just in the conversation of like future contenders, like the next generation. You know what I'm saying? I think whoever wins this goes on to like be. I don't want to say seat at the table, but like a fight away from having a seat at the table.
Well, I mean, if you listen to this. Ricky Simone has wins over Merab Dvalishvili, Ronnie Yaya, Ray Borg, Brian Kelleher, Rafael Sunsao. His losses are to Rob Font and Uriah Faber.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, no.
That's great.
Which I love Simone. I'm a Simone guy. I have a Simone rookie card. I fucking I like me some Ricky Simone.
Well, DC loves Ricky Simone too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the best wrestler. Well, all right. Better wrestler. He beat Dvalishvili, right? Like, best wrestler.
He beat Dvalishvili. He knocked him out. First fight in the UFC
I
knocked
mean,
him out.
if you want to throw a Dominic Cruz or a Dillashaw out there, like I guess I'll listen to you. But as far as the new generation, Simone is the best wrestler, man, in the division.
You know what else I didn't realize, man? That this just came out today before we dive into this breakdown. Because this will affect the fight later. Andrade pulled out of the fight against Manon Fior, so now it's Caitlin Chikagian.
I know.
But that's huge for
so
Fior because
cool.
if Fior wins, she's guaranteed the shot.
I know. I think it's a way less cool fight, though. But
I agree with that.
Chikagian, and Chikagian do be like, I always talk about it on the breakdown. I'll be like, I always talk shit on Chikagian on the day before the fight, and then the day after the fight, I come in and nut rider. You know what I mean? That's just how me and Chikagian's my relationship with Chikagian is as a fan. I always undersell her. I always act like I'm not stoked to watch her fight, and then she goes out there and puts on good performances. So I think that's going to be a fun. I don't know. I just love the stylistic clash of styles between Fiorello and Andrade. I think I respect Andrade a little bit more than Chikagian, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's a bad perception thing on my end. Regardless, that's a very important fight, and I get off.
Agreed. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt it. Now, what I will ask you in reverse of all that is, I might be alone in how I scored this first round. I was surprised that Ricky Simone came out with his standard game plan. I thought he would alter it slightly, thinking, Shore is a good defensive grappler.
No,
he didn't change shit.
Against a Welshman, get the fuck out of here. He was about to American wrestle his ass all fucking which is why I fucking pounded the Simone. Now, you like Shore. I like Simone. Let's go ahead and
I like the over. I like the over more than anything else.
We both like the over. We both rode the over, but then we also had separate money line picks on this one. Now, first round, super duper close. Hard to score. I'm
glad you say that. I'm glad you say that because I thought I was just on an island crazy lost.
No. I did think it was super competitive. Each guy kind of had an argument. However, I did score to Simone. He was on the offense, man. He put Shore on the defensive from the moment that fight started. Now, that's not to say Shore's defense wasn't really good. He was pumping that jab. He was defending the takedown. But it was Simone, rather, that was dictating all the action, the positions, leading the dance, going first, forward pressure. I mean, I
thought Shore did outdamage him, though. From Ricky Simone's approach, I love pressure-heavy fighters, but if you're getting hit, I had this debate with Kenneth last night, so I'm really heated on this topic. I don't give a shit how good your pressure is. If you're getting hit in your face, that doesn't matter to me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You're right to a certain extent, but it wasn't like Simone wasn't getting any damage off. The leg kicks were massive.
The leg kicks are his damage. I will agree.
Also, the elbows, when they would break the clinch, were pretty goddamn gnarly, and by far the most impactful strikes of the round.
I thought Shore's jabs were more impactful just because they were establishing a lot more distance.
I mean, in a vacuum, bro, those elbows, give me those elbows over those jabs, bro. Like, especially also, it factors in how somebody's reacting to those jabs, as we'll see in other fights later on. Simone was eating them, dog. Eating them. Just straight eating them.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I just know he is a, insanely tough, Clay Guida kind of guy. So it's like, I'm not going to factor his chin into Jack Shore's ability to strike him.
Oh, I do if you're talking about damage, because like I said, what those jabs weren't causing.
But it doesn't lessen the damage, though. It just it's just how much he can take. Well, I think he has a higher threshold for how much he can take. It's not less damage; it's that he can take so much more.
But I mean, less damage, and it wasn't like he broke his nose or fucking, you know what I mean? It dropped him or wobbled him. So that's what.
But he was bleeding after the first round, where Shore wasn't.
Yeah, you're right, man. And like I said, it was close. And I'm
glad
we're presenting both sides here.
Right.
Yeah.
I scored it for Shore, but I honestly, every judge scored it for Simone. I think the whole world scored it for Simone. I think it was just close.
I can appreciate your point of view. I could make a devil's advocate argument for sure. Now,
a little lawyer ball.
Yeah, a little lawyer ball reach action. Now, round two. The story's not going to be told this way, but really, in my opinion, round two looked a lot like round one.
I thought it was the exact same round, except Simone figured out how to be dominant on top and not let him back up.
And I think there was like a wilting factor. Like, I think
Yes.
there was a moment where Shore was like, oh, this isn't going to stop. Like, I'm going to be defending takedowns for 12 more minutes.
Dude, the relentlessness of Simone's style is going to be a problem for a lot of guys.
And, like, the fierceness of those body locks, that may sound like a contradiction. Like, oh, body lock, fierce. You don't do damage with a body lock. He, like, fucking pulls you into him and, like, digs his fucking chin into your chest. And, like, you aren't going fucking nowhere. Fucking nowhere. and like, I mean, DC kept using the word sticky. I don't really like that word. I think it sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't think it sounds right. Dude, DC was all over the place. I was like, oh, he's a mouth. He was just screaming in the highest pitch voice.
The noises DC was making. Somebody out there needs to chop that up into like a reel or a TikTok. But
well, dude, and then Felder responding at one point, oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, there was one point Felder's like, well, he just ate about 198 elbows.
The 185 elbows.
Yeah.
That's fight of the year so far. Round of the year for sure. We'll get there.
But like I said, round 2 is going to get told as this story of, oh, Simone came out and really looked great in round 2. I thought Simone looked the same.
First round, he just got on top and didn't let Shore keep guard. He literally broke through the guard. Shore wilted enough to where Simone got his top pressure, and now is where the pressure matters, right? Now is where I'll actually give you the pressure credit.
I think Shore took inventory and was like, all right.
Yeah, I agree. When he was like, this ain't getting better.
This ain't getting better. Like, I'm going to have to do this for about 7-8 more minutes, and I don't know if I can. And I don't. Well, and that's what it came down to me. I'm not saying Shore quit. He did not pull a Herbert Burns. But what I am saying is, like I said, he just kind of took inventory from like a game plan perspective and be like, how am I going to get any offense off? Like, how am I going to get this guy out of here and off of me? And I don't know if I can do it.
I think his approach too was a big like weather the storm kind of approach. Like if I can fend him off for this first round, he's gonna wilt, and then I'm gonna be able to fight him more evenly. And then he realized round 2, well, he's not wilting. In fact, I'm wilting, and I can't do this.
I also talk a little bit kind of like next level, second level, dive a little deeper into the X's and O's here. Shore also known for having pretty goddamn good kicks and knees, and I think him being scared of the takedown.
No knees. He threw no knees. He did not throw one.
It's one of his best weapons typically in some of his past fights. So
he's got really athletic hips.
So I think like the stylistic matchups, like I don't want to say like handicapped him, but kind of, right? Like he was unable to fight his style of fight, which is why I loved Simone. It wasn't a talent issue. It was a matchup issue of why I love Simone.
And honestly, looking into it, I thought both guys grappling heavy approaches. Shore's a little bit sneakier with the punches, but because of Simone's heavy approach, I just thought this would be like a hardcore scrambles grappling match. Essentially, Simone he outpaced Shore in a grappling match, and because of that, was able to dominate him because, well, like you said, Shore just wilted.
So in round 2, I mean, it was pretty goddamn dominant, though, because he got 2 takedowns, and he dropped him with the hand. To get the final sub, people are going to think of it as from the takedowns. He actually dropped him with the hands, which resulted in the final arm triangle sub, which that pressure on that arm triangle was gnarly.
Gnarls Barkley.
he finished it quick, man. But yeah, and then, I don't know. I thought the call-out afterwards was fantastic. I saw some people on Twitter kind of saying they didn't like it. It was corny. I loved it. Maybe it was a little Michael Chandler-esque, but hey, he was working. That's
the best possible call-out Simone could have made. It's the best call-out he could have made in any spot.
He called out O'Malley, and he said it in a pretty cool fashion. It's somewhat of a pause moment. He's like, I'm the sweetest thing in this division. He's playing on the whole Sugar Sean thing.
Yeah, I thought it was good, man, especially when you consider his style for O'Malley is a fucking problem.
It's a nightmare. It's a
nightmare matchup for O'Malley.
Which is why I don't think it happens. Now, I would love to see it. I think I'm going to talk out of
it happens deeper in the rankings. Both these guys get deeper before the UFC fights them.
I agree, man. I agree. They may fight for a goddamn belt one day. Or for a number one contender.
I could see that. Or a Cheeto Vera versus Simone. Like, I can see Simone getting real matchups in 135 because he is a problem stylistically for a lot of these guys, man. Like, I mean, we're talking, he already has a win over Valashvili at 6, right? He has a loss to Rob Font where you can rematch that loss. You want to give him fucking Pedro Munoz, give him to him.
No, there's a lot you can do there. And I think he's a bad matchup. And then all right, just imagine a Ricky Simone versus Aljamain Sterling matchup. The wrestling neutralizes, and I feel like Simone's striking better.
I think Simone's pace on Algio is a problem too, because
imagine,
Algio loves to come strong and finish soft.
Imagine Simone versus Piotr Jan. That fight is sick.
The forward pressure on that's insane.
Or even a Dillashaw fight in the future would be fucking dope.
See, I think Dillashaw is really tough for him because Dillashaw can scramble like a motherfucker.
Oh no, it's tough for him. But imagine watching those scrambles. I'm just talking from
so good. Oh, so
a matchup porn perspective. You know what I'm saying? That would be amazing. I guess what I'm getting at is here. You can't really go wrong with what you do next with Simone. Unless you give him somebody irrelevant. I think he deserves good card placement and a good name. And then also, I think the same goes for Jack Shore. I don't think Jack Shore is dead or done or anything close. He's a young fighter. It's his first loss ever. I mean, hell, he could go on to be champ one day, fucking 5 years from now. Who fucking knows? But I'm saying I think he's going to be just fine. There's a million killers for him to fight in the back end of bantamweight. I think it's a bump in the road for him. I said, I'm not really even daubered down on him. I thought, like I said, because I liked Simone from the beginning, so I'm not shocked or need to reevaluate Shore. This is kind of how I saw it playing out, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way. I think he's going to work on the wrestling. He's going to work on, the cardio and the takedown defense and some other strategies and, tweak some things, and I think he's going to learn from it, man. I think he's
Probably an extremely valuable fight for Jack Shore moving forward. I know first loss, and that's a big deal or whatever.
Yeah,
but he learned probably so much about how the rest of these guys at the top of the division that are one-trick skill guys are going to fight him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree, bro. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I love that Simone gets the performance of the night bonus. Cash is plus 130. They said I had him and the under hit too, so that's cool. So yeah, this one wasn't too bad from a betting perspective, and then also, huge implications for the division. I love that fight. I thought that should have been a main card fight. I was real high on it, but we'll keep it pushing to this final prelim.
I think this is the fight we called the best because I think both of us were pretty heavy on one guy, and for just a couple reasons, and those couple reasons were very apparent very quickly.
Yep, and I also bet the under on one of my parlays as well.
Nice.
Which
Smart in this one. Smart in this one. Yeah.
I thought that was for either guy, right? Because even if the guy who I thought was going to win lost, it was going to be one way, and it was going to be early. So, I thought the under all day. We had Dalton Lungiambula coming in at plus 185. Minus 215, Punahele Soriano coming in as the favorite. In the middleweight
just murdered those names. Just murdered those names. It was nice. It was nice.
Rolling off the tongue. No Uncle Chael over here. But, man, so these guys are similar guys. I just thought Soriano, because they're both power punchers, right? They're both big, strong, muscular guys, right? Both scary guys, aggressive guys. This was going to be a stand-up fight, right? And, I just thought Soriano was just a crisper version of the guy we're talking about, right? The mold that we're talking about, I thought Soriano was just a little more refined, a little, better understanding of the sport, if you will.
I also don't think he's trigger shy. I think Lungiambula is scared to throw sometimes, and Puna is not.
See, I don't think he's scared to throw. I think he's scared to gas. I think he's scared to gas. And I think Puna kind of trusts his gas tank a little bit more. But that being said, man, round one was super fucking close, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I actually gave it to Lungiambula.
So did I. So did every judge.
Okay, all right. So not too hot of a take. He came out looking good, man. He got 2 takedowns, some clinch control. He actually knocked Soriano off his feet with a leg kick, which I don't know how much damage it did, but it looked real good on the eyes.
It looked good.
Now, even in the first round that we all had Puna losing, I thought he was landing the more impactful head strikes, the head punches.
Scary shots, too, if he was going to end up connecting on the full combos and not just land the first 1 or 2 on the – because he was throwing 3- and 4-piece combos.
And also, I thought Puna had more volume from a striking perspective. It's crazy that all judges gave it to Lungiambula. I did too, but I could see a scenario where somebody out there scores that for Soriano. He had plenty of good work.
I think the leg kicks were a big deal for Lungiambula, and the optics of Soriano getting his legs swept out from under him on that one nice kick. I think that might have been the deciding factor because On the feet, it wasn't too far apart. I just
No.
really do think the leg kicks really separated it for
Well,
Gimble in the first.
and 2 takedowns, right? That's not
Very
nothing.
true. Yeah, not
That
nothing. Even though he
and
didn't do much damage or much with
no,
them, they do count for something.
exactly, especially in a close round. Now, keeping it pushing to round 2, or shall I say 28 seconds of round 2, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Didn't have to sweat the under too hard. It did make it to the second round, but I wasn't, the anti-perspirant was working just fine. Drops him with the left hook, and then as he's grounded, comes in with the right. Once again, kind of like Fazib and RDA, kind of reminded me of that.
Good stoppage again here, I thought.
Yeah, man. I didn't even see anybody on Twitter complaining about this stoppage. Soriano, I mean, when it works, it fucking works, right? You know what I'm saying? We've seen him lose, and he's not the perfect fighter, not the most well-rounded guy, but he gets the right matchups or even just lands the right punch on a bad matchup. I mean, he has that one-shot power that not a lot of middleweights have. Like really, is he kind of the next Costa? Like, you know what I mean? Like Costa-esque in style, right?
When the Puna bombs connect, they hurt. Yeah, he's very Costa-esque. He's definitely not as much of a douchebag as Paulo Costa, so that's great.
Such a great guy. He's so likable.
But he kind of does have that bully style where, like, he's just going to try to walk you down and throw big shots and hit harder than you can hit him.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think against top-flight wrestlers and maybe even top-flight jiu-jitsu guys, there is some matchup, maybe exploitations that could happen. I'm not saying he's going to be a future champ or anything, but he's one of those guys, man, that on any given night, on any given punch, you know what I'm saying? Like he's – I don't know, man. Like, if he's ever a real big dog, I might throw a few pennies on him just because almost like a Derek Lewis type, like, just takes that fucking that right connection, and he can put damn near anybody out.
Just taking the nuclear option. I mean, it's not a bad bet when a guy has it like that. You know what I mean? Now, I think moving forward here, Puna gets a lot bigger name as far as the next 85 fight he takes.
What's 13 through 15 looking like real quick? And we don't have to spend too much time on it, but I like Puna. I want to see good things for Puna.
Now, here's my problem is I don't think he's there yet because Brad Tavares, Dricus Duplessis, and Nasruddin Imavov. As much as I like Puna, I think he needs another one still in between there somewhere.
Oh, see, fuck that, bro. If Duplessis rushes in on Puna like he did in his last fight, no off the center line at all, straight ahead. Remember we kept saying we were waiting for a left hook? Imagine if that check left hook comes from Puna. Fuck that, bro. Give me.
He doesn't throw the fastest. He does not have the fastest hands. He fought a guy that literally is slow as hell and looked great. So what am I supposed to say about it, you know?
I don't know.
When you beat up guys in the back end, I'm not going to he lost the first round. Like, I can't be that – I cannot be that big on him.
I'm saying I could see him beating Duplessis and Tavares. Now, after that, I don't think I
think Tavares is a bad problem for him because if Longchamp Blue's getting takedowns, Tavares might just finish you on the ground.
I also like Tavares is going to be a much smaller man in there. Puna cuts some weight. Some weight.
Same with Duplessis. But Imavov would be a problem.
Yes, that you didn't hear me mention that man's name. You didn't hear me mention that man's name. I think anybody whose last name ends in Ov is a bad matchup for Puna.
I will say Uriah Hall, Puna, that's a fun matchup.
Give me Puna all day. With the plus money, let's go.
So I think Puna has a place in that back end top 15, but I could never see him being close to Strickland, Hermanson, Taylor, Muniz currently. I think he needs a little more work on he needs to refine his game.
Till pieces him up.
Right. But it's not that he lacks like the ability to win the fight. It's that he doesn't have the nuanced approach yet. Like he needs to learn how to fight those guys smarter.
And he's 9-2. You know what I mean? He's young in his career.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Totally with that. I just want to see him develop a little more before he gets thrown in there.
Green, but yeah, about as scary of a green raw prospect as it
The raw skill set is dangerous when you consider his intangible skills.
100%, man. Has a chin too. Has a fucking chin.
For sure has a chin because he'll get into wars. But that's kind of a problem at 85 too, you know?
Especially with the top flight guys. I agree with you, brother. But hey, man.
Not Paulo Costa because he's a 205er, but.
Yeah, why are you bringing up light heavyweights for? Talking about a next matchup for Jacoby or what?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Jacoby Costa would be hilarious.
Oh, that'd be bad.
I think Costa's still the bigger man in the ring too. That's the craziest part.
Oh yeah, he's the bigger man, and he definitely wins by KO. Pound me under, pound me under.
Oh my god.
But yeah, man, that was a lot of fun, brother. Anybody at home, like I said, well, I'll bring it up one last time. Subscribe to Beefy Boys Breakdown on YouTube and comment your Twitter handle so we can get a hold of you, and you can win this Nate Diaz officially licensed UFC trading card, or another trading card of your liking. Yeah, and then that wraps up the prelims portion of episode 96 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown, closing in on 100 episodes in the breakdown era. That was a lot of fun. This main card's going to be a lot of fun until the main event. But
these first 4 fights,
we'll be right back. We'll be back in 5, everybody.